The sun was beginning to sink over the Caribbean horizon when radar alarms screamed aboard the U.S. Navy's carrier strike group. Pilots sprinted across the deck of the USS George H.W. Bush as two F-35C Lightning II fighters prepared for launch. Intelligence reports had warned of unusual Venezuelan air activity near international waters, but no one expected what was coming. Within minutes, the carrier's deck rumbled as the F-35s roared into the sky, their stealth frames cutting through the humid evening air. The mission was simple: conduct a reconnaissance patrol and make visual contact, if any. Venezuelan aircraft approached. At 30,000 feet, the air was clear, the blue fading to deep indigo as night crept in. Lieutenant Commander Ryan "Hawk" Daniels led the patrol, his eyes scanning the horizon through his helmet display. Beside him, Ensign Cole Ryder McAllister monitored radar returns. Then the warning tone hit, two fast-moving blips closing in from the south. Within seconds, the onboard system identified them: Venezuelan Su-30 Mk2s, advanced, Russian-made fighters known for their twin engines and aggressive maneuverability. The radio crackled with warnings from the carrier, but before the pilots could react, one of the Su-30s made a sharp climb, crossing directly into their airspace. Daniels rolled hard left to avoid a potential collision, calling out over the comms to maintain distance. "This is U.S. Navy. Flight. Identify yourself and alter course." Immediately, no response. The Venezuelan pilot edged closer, the aircraft glinting in the fading light. What started as a high-stakes standoff spiraled into chaos within seconds. The Su-30's pilot, perhaps testing the Americans or acting under orders, began an intimidating barrel roll maneuver around the F-35. But then, something went horribly wrong. At over 600 miles per hour, the Venezuelan jet clipped the F-35's wingtip. The collision sent both aircraft spinning out of control. "Mayday, mayday! We've been hit!" Daniels shouted as his F-35 tumbled toward the ocean below, alarms blaring. The Venezuelan fighter disintegrated in a fireball, scattering debris over miles of open water. Daniels fought the controls, trying to stabilize his aircraft as warning lights flickered red across the cockpit. His systems were failing, but his training kicked in. He engaged the emergency stabilization program and barely managed to level out at a few thousand feet. Meanwhile, Ensign McAllister's jet pulled up hard, banking through turbulence and radioing, back to the carrier for immediate rescue support. In the carrier's Combat Information Center, officers watched in silence as radar feeds showed one friendly signal barely moving and another vanishing completely. "Get search and rescue airborne now," the commander ordered. The ocean below was a graveyard of floating wreckage and smoke. The sea swallowed the wreck almost instantly. The impact knocked Daniels unconscious for several minutes, but the automatic ejection system had deployed just in time. He surfaced amid burning debris, waves slapping against his survival raft as oil slicks shimmered around him. The sound of thunder rolled across the black sky. He could barely see beyond the flashes of lightning reflecting off the water. Somewhere far off, he heard the distant thump of rotor blades. "Come on," he muttered, half to himself, half to the storm. "Just hold together." The U.S. Navy Seahawk was already racing toward his coordinates. Its searchlight swept the churning waves, illuminating fragments of metal, empty oxygen tanks, and the faint signal of a distress beacon. The crew lowered a rescue diver who plunged into the water and reached Daniels within seconds. "We got him! Pilot secure!" The diver's voice came through the comms as they hoisted him up, soaked, dazed, but alive. The helicopter rose, circling the flaming wreckage below one last time before banking toward the carrier. Behind them, the sea glowed orange where the Venezuelan jet had gone down. No signs of survivors. Back aboard the carrier, the mood was somber but charged with disbelief. Daniels, wrapped in a thermal blanket, gave a brief debrief to the captain. "He didn't fire," he said, voice rough, "but he came right at me. I think he lost control after clipping us." The captain nodded grimly. "That's not an accident, Commander." They pushed this line, too. Far. The Navy began immediate communications with U.S. Central Command, and within hours, the Pentagon confirmed a full investigation. Satellite imagery and radar. Data showed that the Venezuelan pilot had intentionally approached within collision distance after multiple warnings. News broke worldwide before dawn. Venezuelan fighter collides with U.S. F-35. Over international waters, the headlines read. Social media flooded with footage from naval observers and nearby commercial ships. Some blamed reckless flying, others suspected political provocation. The Venezuelan government insisted it was a training accident, but the U.S. Navy's video data told a harder truth. The ramming had been deliberate, likely a test of how far America would go to defend its pilots in disputed airspace. As dawn returned over the Caribbean, the damaged F-35's wreckage was being recovered by U.S. Navy divers. Pieces of its stealth coating floated beside the twisted remains of the Su-30's fuselage. The operation was silent, methodical, and covered by the rhythmic thump of helicopter blades overhead. Daniels stood on deck, watching the waves that nearly claimed him. "We were lucky," McAllister said quietly beside him. Daniels nodded, eyes fixed on the horizon. Luck had nothing to do with it. That was a message.